I remember this time I had just got back from vacation and I was taking my kids to go ice skating because I always love to take my kids to go different places and do different events and stuff with their dad. And I'm like, all right, what do y'all want to do this weekend? They said, Dad, I want to go ice skating. I was like, okay, cool, let's go ice skating. So I took them to ice skating. I parked my car. And then what I did was I took them over to the park area where they have the ice skating because it's ice skating outside. But before we got ready to go ice skating, one of the things I told my kids was that, Dad is really stressed out right now. I just got a lot of stuff going on. And they're like, really, Dad? And I was like, yeah. And I have been dealing with this woman and stuff like that. Things were kind of going sideways and different things. And I think really a lot of times what happens is guys and men and fathers, we can be present but emotionally numb. And I think for me, that was really the point where I was able to open up with my kids and be very honest and be very, your dad is still human. He's human just like you, and that I go through things just like you do. And I think that really gave them an opportunity to really see me in a different light too. Not just see me as like maybe a god or something like that, or somebody who never gets hurt or never had different things happen to them. And I was so fortunate enough to really have that opportunity to just be open with them. And I really try to do that with my kids. I always try to have transparency. And I think a lot of times we want to show up. As men and as fathers, we need to show up because it's our duty to really be there. It's our duty to guard our kids from all hurt, harm, and danger. It's our duty to protect them from bullying at school, protect them from negative things, gossip. And I think as fathers, sometimes we hide behind our emotional numbness and we really don't show who we are as fathers and say, you know what? I'm actually dealing with stuff too, and I'm human, and I want you to know that in life, you're going to deal with certain things. And as a father, I think we really need to be open to something like that, to really show our child, you know what? It's our duty to be here. Even if we're going through something, we should still show up as a father. And I think sometimes it does show up in different ways too, though. Sometimes we can get emotionally overloaded as a father. And what I mean by that is sometimes we might yell at our kids, or we might start drinking, or even sometimes we may even smoke weed and stuff like that. And sometimes there's parents that do those type of things because they just get so exhausted and they emotionally are just overloaded with all this stress from work or drama that's going on with them. It could be family related. It could even be work. And I think a lot of times we got to really look at this and say, you know what? I'm emotionally overloaded right now as a father, but I want to be as present as possible. And that's something I want you to know as a father. There were so many days, I felt just emotionally overloaded and just overworked, but I still showed up as a father because I want my kids to know, even when daddy is going through stuff, he can still be there for you. And I think for me, that's something that's really important. And I want you to know just as a father that even if you're exhausted and you're overloaded from all these different things, really try to show up for your kid. Always try to be there for them. And sometimes we never had the process. We didn't even know. Nobody taught us how to process numbness, taught us how to process pain. And I think that's something that as men we can really do. And the way we can process it is we can go to counseling as men. We could also be in men's group to talk to other men and fellowship around people. There's so many different options that we can do to really process through pain and grief and different things like that. And the reason I say that is because we really should be there just as a man to another man and go through these certain things. Like one of the things that I always do is every single Tuesday morning before I go to work, it's like a Zoom on-call Bible study. And I'm so happy and fortunate to really do that because it's not necessarily a video, but it's audio. And it's a person in our church that leads the group, and they get in there and we all pray for one another and we care for one another. And I'm so happy that I really had that opportunity. And I want you to know as a father that you can have that same exact opportunity too. You just have to find the right group around you. And that's not the only thing that I do. Another thing that I do is Wednesdays. Majority of the time, it could be Wednesday or about every other Wednesday or every couple of Wednesdays. What I do is I meet up with another group of guys from a church that I used to go to, and we just hang out. Sometimes we might have a beer. Sometimes we might just hang out and talk about life and just be there for one another. Sometimes I give them a hug and tell them that I love them and stuff because it's so refreshing to know that even though we might have not been taught how to process pain, we can talk through pain and grief and different things that go on around us. And the reason I say that is because as men, that's what we can do. Just talk to the other men around us. And I think you should really do that as a father. Find a group or find some type of experience to where you can really be there for one another. And I think it'll really be beneficial because it teaches you how to open up. And sometimes as men, we don't feel like we have a safe place. And that's why I want you to know, if you find, it doesn't even have to be a Bible study group like me, or it could just be another group that you hang out with, but they're open to you just being able to feel safe and say, you know what, this is a great place for me to open up with men around me, 5 or 10 people in the group, or it could just be one-on-one. I mean, there's been many times, even inside the Wednesday group that I meet up with, there's one guy, he calls me every so often, talks to me about life, and I keep everything in between me and him. And I just advise him on different stuff, and I really am there for him anytime he needs anything. And I always tell him, man, just call me. Sometimes my phone might be on Do Not Disturb from like 10 to 4 in the morning, but no, you can call me at any other time. And I always tell him, just let me know. There's been many times when I've met up with this young man and I told him, hey, this is what's going on in your marriage, or this is what's going on in your life. Talk to me about it. I'll run you through what I think. And then, we can process it together. He's always so thankful. He hugs me and stuff. And I just want y'all to know, even though you might be emotionally hurt and going through pain and stuff like that, you can still show up if you have these different groups around you. I mean, I still show up. Like, honestly, today, I had to go to a funeral earlier today, but I'm still going to show up for y'all because I care about you, the person. I want you to know that I'm still out here making content, even though I'm going through stuff. I'm not going to stop making content because I want y'all to know that I care about y'all. And it's the truth, because I really do. And sometimes I think that just because these things go on, you should still feel loved. And sometimes I think that we bury our love deep inside of us as men, and we don't want to show it because we don't want to be emotionally vulnerable. We don't want to open up and say, I'm really dealing with this. But sometimes you can do that. I mean, I tell the guys in the group sometimes, some of them 50-something years old, I tell them that I love them and I hug them and stuff. Because that's how I am. I love it. I love being around other men and stuff like that. I mean, some of these guys in the group that I'm in, they're not even African American. I'm African American, a bunch of them white guys, they're older. But it's so cool just to talk to them and just be there for another brother. And that's what I just love. It's like, man, we are so inclusive. We're in a group and we all care for one another. And that's what I want y'all to know is like, there's groups out there where you can really be there for one another. And sometimes I think what happens too is that it comes down to a generational pattern. Sometimes it was your grandfather. He was kind of numb and didn't really open up. Sometimes it could be your father that really didn't open up. And then it goes on to the third generation, which is you, the guy that I'm talking to now. But the thing is, you have an opportunity to change your lineage. You have an opportunity to change your generation and change the kids around you and your kids, because you can tell them, I'm going to open up and I'm going to show you a different side of how it is to be a father, even though I'm emotionally hurting or I'm going through certain situations, because I want you to know that you don't have to feel numb. You don't have to drink. You don't have to smoke. You can open up to your father, which is you, and then you can also open up to loved ones around you. And I think a lot of times we want to do that. And the reason I say that is because sometimes as men, we think it's hard, but it's not that difficult. We can really just love one another and open up to one another and say that we really care. And I think really what this really comes down to, once you process your emotions and you process your feelings, what you can do is you can really start to open up, and then you can start the restart process, which is going through these different stages, grief, you're going through emotional numbness, you're going through all these different things. But the fact of the matter is that you still have an opportunity to change and reset. And what I want you to know is like, it doesn't matter if you fell down 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 or 5 times. Just know that you can get back up as a father, and you can get back right into the right lane, and you can keep going. I mean, you can do it, because I believe in you. And I want you to know that the restart starts with you, and you're the person that's going to change your generation as far as your last name, and you're the person that's going to change your kids, because they're going to know, hey, daddy showed up and he wasn't always emotional. It was hard for him to open up, but my dad was the first one in our lineage and the first one for our last name to change everything around us. So I want y'all to know that. So remember that Restart starts today. Y'all can do it. And just know that no matter what the situation is, you can keep going. So remember, we got to get this content out to all the fathers. It's your boy Chris. Peace. I'm out with another one.